I was hauling paper rolls through Nevada when the air turned wrong. That's the only way I can describe it. It was late October, crisp but not cold. Sky was smeared with clouds that looked like they were being pulled apart. I was coming out of Fallon, heading east toward Ely. A lonely, dead stretch. Nothing out there but scrub, sagebrush, and memories. I'd done that route dozens of times. Knew every mile marker, every hill that messes with your downshifting. But that day, something felt off from the jump. CB chatter had gone silent, like no one was out there but me. No other trucks in either direction. No cars. No coyotes. Just me, my freight, and that wrong air. About an hour in, I noticed movement in the mirrors. Not tailgaters in movement. Like shadow ripples in the dust I was kicking up. Figured maybe my eyes were playing tricks. Too much coffee, not enough sleep. I kept pushing. Then I saw her. A woman. Standing off the shoulder. Middle of nowhere. Pale dress, long hair. Staring straight at me. I swerved a bit, enough for the rumble strip to growl. Checked the mirror. Nothing there. Not a footprint. Not a car. Not even a dent in the brush. Now, I've heard ghost stories on the road before. Some guys collect them like stamps. But I'm not that type. I'm not superstitious. But let me tell you this. Right after I passed where she'd been standing, my cab froze. Not the temperature, the feeling. Like someone was in there with me. And the air smelled like iron. Blood. Old, cold blood. I pulled over. Jumped out. Walked the length of the truck with a flashlight. Everything intact. Climbed back in, and I swear to you, there was a handprint on the inside of the windshield. Small, feminine, and upside down. I didn't stop again till I hit Ely. Didn't sleep either. Even now, every time I take that route, I slow down at mile marker 183, just in case she's waiting. I had just picked up a refrigerated trailer out of Laredo, Texas. Load was sealed, manifest checked, everything in order. Headed to a Walmart DC in Ohio. It was hot, borderline brutal, but I was in good spirits. Brand new company, decent pay, and finally a truck with APU and inverter. Things were looking up. First 2 days of the run were smooth. Rolled through Arkansas and Missouri without any real issues. Just the usual lane closures and late-night gas station burritos. But on the third day around 2 a.m., I parked at a rest area outside Louisville. Did my walk around. Checked the seal on the reefer. Still locked. Trailer temp steady. I climbed in the bunk, knocked out cold. Next morning, something felt off. Not panic, just something. I opened the curtain, sat in the seat, and checked my mirrors. Everything looked normal. But when I went out to grab coffee from the vending machine, I walked past the trailer, and I froze. The seal was still there. Padlock untouched, but the weight was gone. If you haul freight long enough, you know when a trailer feels light. Something in your gut tells you. I opened the doors and it was empty. 42,000 pounds of packaged meats. Gone. Not a wrapper, not a footprint. I thought maybe I got robbed. But there was no damage. No broken seals. No tampering. Even the reefer temp was still humming where it should have been. I called dispatch in a full-blown panic. Their response? You're not the first. Turns out 3 other trucks in our fleet had similar things happen, all with reefer units coming out of Laredo. Same lanes, same client, no suspects, just empty trailers and sealed doors. Some said it was inside job. Others blamed tech. Maybe someone spoofed the reefer GPS, made a switch while the driver slept. But the creepiest part? None of the trailers ever showed back up on camera. No evidence of theft. Nothing ever traced. Just disappeared. And to this day, I don't accept reefer loads coming out of Laredo. Some things ain't worth the rate. Back in 2008, I was running loads between Phoenix and Albuquerque. Had a good rhythm going, same stops, same guys at the dock, same routine. Easy money until it wasn't. One morning, I pull into the usual warehouse. This time, though, they're behind schedule. A new kid was working the forklift, barely looked 18, nervous, jumpy. I didn't think much of it. I backed into the dock, set the brake, and stepped out to stretch. I watched him try to unload one of the heavy pallets from the front of the trailer. But the forks were tilted too far forward and the kid was going way too fast. I started walking toward him to wave him down. Before I could yell, he jerked the controls and that whole pallet of boxed alternators, with 200 pounds easy, tipped forward and smashed right through the trailer floor. The crash echoed through the lot. The kid froze. I just stood there staring at this busted trailer in a yard full of twisted product, scattered like it got hit with a grenade. Warehouse manager ran over, red-faced, screaming. They tried to blame me at first, said I didn't secure the load properly. I shut that down real quick, had my bills and photos to prove it was their guy. Still, I was down a trailer. The load was a total loss. Took weeks to sort out the insurance. Meanwhile, I lost my regular route and had to bounce around to temp halls just to stay afloat. People don't talk about how one mistake, one rookie, one moment of inexperience can ruin a whole month for a driver. Maybe even a whole year. Ever since then, I don't just check my own straps, I keep my eye on the dock too. Back in 2016, I picked up a load from a meatpacking plant just outside of Dodge City, Kansas. It was one of those late-night assignments that dispatch pushes on you last minute. Just a quick drop in New Mexico, they said. I was already running close on hours, but the money was good and I needed it. I figured I'd sleep when I got there. The place reeked of ammonia and cold blood. If you've ever loaded up at a meatpacking facility, you know exactly what I mean. They had me pull into a narrow, dimly lit dock, and it took them forever to load the trailer. I waited nearly 4 hours before they sealed it. I grabbed a coffee, punched the GPS, and rolled out around 2:40 a.m. By the time I hit the Texas border, the weather turned. Not rain, not wind, but this eerie fog that wrapped itself around my cab like it had a mind of its own. Visibility was trash. I could barely see 2 stripes ahead of me on the road. And the weird part, no other trucks, not even taillights from cars. Just me and the sound of my diesel engine chewing through the silence. Somewhere outside of Amarillo, I started feeling off. Not tired, just unsettled. My trailer lights began flickering, like faint little fireflies that would vanish and come back. I thought maybe a wire was loose. Pulled over to a small rest area to check. Nothing looked out of place. But when I climbed back into the cab and started to drive off, my GPS rerouted. Completely different path than the one I'd set earlier. Instead of I-40, it wanted me to take this older 2-lane farm road. And get this, it said it would save me an hour. Now I know better than to trust GPS blindly. Especially on night runs, but for some reason I hit accept. Worst decision of my career. The road was tight, no shoulder, no lights, no signals. Just barbed wire fence on either side and pitch black beyond. Then out of nowhere, a man stepped into the road. No lights, no warning. I slammed the brakes and missed him by inches. I jumped out yelling, "Hey, you okay?" But he was gone, no trace. I walked up and down that stretch, even flashed my high beams across the grass on both sides. Nothing. The air felt like it was vibrating. I couldn't explain it then, and I still can't now. When I got back in the cab, I noticed my trailer temp monitor had reset. It was like the system glitched. No records of the load or the hours driven. The only thing left was the route, and that man burned into my memory. I delivered the meat just before dawn, exhausted, mind racing. The guy unloading asked why the seal number didn't match the paperwork. I had no answer. To this day, I don't know what I crossed into that night. All I know is I never took a last-minute load from that company again. Back in '96, before GPS was in every cab and smartphones lit up our dashboards, I ran with nothing but a road atlas and a Sharpie. Highlighted routes, gas station scribbles, and mental notes, that was my system. I was hauling a load out of Missouri, headed west to Cheyenne. I'd taken this route 100 times, but I'd also been drinking too much coffee and sleeping too little. Somewhere around 3 a.m., I missed my usual turn and found myself on some off-grid highway. No lights, no signage, no cell signal. I pulled over on the shoulder, killed the engine, and took out my map. It was worn to the point of tearing. Ink smeared and pages curled. I started tracing back my steps, and that's when I noticed something strange. A town was marked that I didn't remember ever seeing before. Wheeler Junction. It was scribbled in pencil, circled faintly. Thing is, I never circled that, and I never heard of it. I assumed I marked it in a haze sometime earlier and just forgot. The only way forward was through it. I fired the truck up and kept driving. About 20 minutes in, I reached the town. No gas station, no grocery store, just a few boarded-up buildings. A diner with flickering lights and a small post office that looked abandoned. But what hit hardest was this. The town was dead silent. No cars, no people, no animals. Just my own engine echoing off the brick. I parked in front of the diner, shut off the rig, and walked up to the door. The open sign was on, but it was hanging crooked. I opened the door slowly. Inside, the air smelled like old grease and wet wood. One woman stood behind the counter, blonde hair in rollers, eyes locked on me like she'd been expecting me. Before I could speak, she said, "You're not supposed to be here yet." That phrase hit me like a sledgehammer. I asked what she meant, but she only turned and walked through the swinging doors behind her. I followed, but there was nothing back there. Just a kitchen, cold, empty, no rear exit, no sign of her. I bolted out, ran to the truck, flipped open the map again, and Wheeler Junction was gone. The pencil circle vanished, as if it had never been there at all. I never told anyone until now.